I think so. We are live on Facebook now. Apologies for that technical hitch. Are we good, everybody? Uh,
Yes.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Moin Beg, and I work as Events and Program Coordinator for the Greater Austin Chamber of Commerce. We are delighted to have Kevin Chin of Northshore Media Production. He is also the founder of Asian Creatives, uh, Asian Creatives for Greater Austin, as well as we also have Joe Williams, Artistic Director for Austin Classical Guitar, joining us today. And thank you all for joining us as well. We all will be taking questions from Zoom and Facebook Live throughout this discussion. We have also dedicated some time at the end for all those questions as well. Now, Joe, would you please start us off?
Absolutely. Thank you for having us, Moin. This is such a delight to be with you and to get to speak about some of the work that we've been doing. I love starting with music. I think it's just one of the best things about my job, and that we can go straight and start talking about art and experiencing art. We're going to hear a fabulous guitarist from Thailand named Ikachai Jerakul. He's a superstar, and he's playing this beautiful piece. It's part of a project we put together called Hope, in which we asked 15 artists from around the world to put a message in a bottle, share their stories of hope, and a piece that is about hope for them. So those were recorded as videos and shared as part of the Hope concert. And so we'll hear Ikachai Jerakul. Kevin, anything to add to that before we listen to it?
No, it's a wonderful piece, and I'm really glad that we're starting off with, a musician that is on the other side of the world, just so we can share music internationally and globally. I think it's definitely part of Asian Creatives of Greater Austin. So let's let's begin.
Hope is something invisible, but it does exist like a melody. Hope is something you don't have in hand right now, but it leads you to the bright future. I'm gonna play you a song called Duan Pen. It is a beautiful Thai song. I hope you like it.
Wow, that was wonderful. I loved it. Kudos, guys. You guys are doing some amazing work. I'm super impressed. I'm sure
Thank you.
all of our viewers would love that too.
Oh,
So, could you tell us about your organizations, guys? Like, we want to learn more about your great initiatives. Like, this piece was amazing.
absolutely. Maybe Kevin, should I go first, or you want to go first?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, take it away.
So I I'm the artistic director for Austin Classical Guitar, and and this is actually our 30th year of service in our community. We're so proud of being able to bring music and share music, and it's actually as equally as proud. This is we're coming into our 20th year of education programs, and that means we've been supporting programs and classrooms all throughout AISD and the surrounding area, and the teachers that are working there, and for credit classes. And I bring that up because I think it tells you a lot about who we are. I think we start with art as this amazing thing that shines on all of us, that we all can create and participate in. And our education heart of our organization is really a participatory and inspiring part that I think is part of everything that we do. So we strive to make meaningful experiences around art for everybody in our community. And a big part of that community, we're happy and proud members of the GAACC and other chambers of commerce in Austin, and seek to create international and local dialogue and partnerships. So we get pretty fired up about it. It's really easy to get excited about it. and and I think maybe we can talk a little bit about some differences between a normal year and this pandemic year, but I'd love to just hand it to Kevin, and so you get to hear about the amazing Kevin Chin and his organizations.
You are too kind, Joe. Well, thanks so much, Moyne, for having me here. And Joe, we been able to create a lot of beautiful content for the community in this past year where no one else has really been able to venture. We'll see later in the programming some amazing performances done at some iconic venues such as the KMFA Traylon Mason Studios,
Wow.
from Austin ISD PAC. And so that brings me to what I do, and that's mostly media production. So my company is Northshore Media. I started it about 10 years ago in Chicago, the North Shore of Chicago. And if you can't tell, started out as a music producer, musician. Um, Moved to Austin and started getting more into the video side and how audio and music correlate with video. And met Joe and was able to form this amazing relationship with ACG and help facilitate a virtual online experience to give viewers the highest quality viewing experience so they feel more immersed, more connected to the music. In addition, relatively recently, I founded with a couple other co founders the Asian Creatives of Greater Austin.
Mhm.
And the intent for that organization is to provide similar types of educational opportunities and also showcase the community, specifically the AAPI community. So, speaking to that, I also, North Shore is a member of the Greater Austin Asian Chamber of Commerce, and the Asian Creatives of Greater Austin is soon to be as well. But obviously, you guys have been a wonderful partner. So we are providing things like education of non-traditional Western instruments, such as the sitar, such
Wow.
as, yeah, as I just bought that one after having a sitar
Cool.
workshop last
Cool.
weekend. I said I wanted one, and I was able to see up in action, close in action. We did a live stream last week, and bringing the sitar to the Austin online community for free, a free workshop to get people engaged with an instrument that typically you never hear about, never see in person, but
Mhm.
to give the resources to learn instruments that are more ethnic and cultural that you know we don't always see, and also to give the AAPI community a shot on some of these big stages like ACL,
Wow.
Blues on the Green. Currently, there hasn't been any very little representation from our demographic. So
It's an honor and privilege to have you part of our community as well as members of our chamber. So thank you very much. Do you guys what? So I would like to ask you about some of your projects that you have done together, as well as like what role partnerships play in your work.
Wow. Well, I think partnership is such a big part of everything we do. I think it's a really, hey, there's my dog. It's a really big part of Kevin and I's work together, and I think it's a way that we think about our responsibility to the community. I'd love to just share a little bit of perspective. When in 2019 we started our concert season with Zhufei Yang, who is the greatest and first greatest classical guitarist to come out of China. She is, again, just a superstar and so inspiring to so many people. And it was really neat to work with the GAACC to have that big, actually, this was 2018, I'm sorry, I just remembered. But having this big event at the AISD Performing Arts Center, bringing everybody together. She played a program of all Spanish music and all Chinese folk music. It was such a cool mash and partnership
Mhm.
there. But we did some other things too, and taking her and having some meet and greets with different parts of our Austin community, and really building a whole bunch around her art. And that's really kind of, I think, what we do in normal times, where we get to be in the same room. And I think that connection is a different kind of partnership. You know, we spend time listening to art or experiencing music together. We become connected in some fundamental way. And I think the extraordinary thing about the last year is that that was possible. That was still possible because of people like Kevin and people like from our team, Eric Pearson, who forged bridges through virtual spaces so that we can still create and be connected, which I think was a crucial part of our year.
Okay.
And I want to celebrate Kevin because his refinement and his skills in all these ways that we could shape capturing a performance where we'll see later the AISD Performing Arts Center totally empty except for 3 musicians on stage and the crew of about 4 or 5 all gathered around them. Because of people like Kevin, we could still make art and really connect. And there's so many partnerships, Kevin. It's like, it's stunning to think about. When you think about our partnerships, are there ones that stand out to you, or the many ways that we've been doing that?
I think that some of the spaces that have partnered, like Laguna Gloria, just,
Mm.
I'm the type of person, especially being on the visual side with a music background, incorporating sculptures with music. It's so beautiful. And obviously, some of these venues, like AISD, PAC, I've never been there and I've lived in Austin for 10 years. And so to showcase these beautiful theaters and acoustics
Mm.
and just inside, you'll see the venue itself is grandiose. It looks like it belongs in Paris, you know. So just to utilize the space, Austin ISD stands out, the PAC Center, and
One
also
World
Laguna
Theater.
Gloria. One World Theater,
Yeah.
absolutely. Rest in peace. But yes, I would say, iconic venues that people have, associated amazing memories with. Now we're giving them a chance. Hopefully, things will open up soon enough. But in this year, a lot of that has been missed sorely by many. And to encapsulate people in a venue, to have a camera facing the empty seats, it kind of gives you a sense of depth. It immerses you in the music, in the space, in the art.
So, building upon both of your wonderful input, I have another question. I know we have plenty of time at the end for those questions, but this is one of the intriguing questions I would like to ask you before we move on to those wonderful performances. So, have you guys monetized your virtual offerings with current whatever is happening? Would you like to touch based upon some of that
I
component?
can tell you what ACG has done. So considering that the pandemic put so many people out of work that the strain of this situation was so tough. We at ACG made an active choice to do an RSVP model for all of our events, and just to help understand that, that's, I think the one that we have tonight is the 37th live streaming virtual event this evening since last March. Each of those, we invite people to RSVP to join us, and within that context, they are given an opportunity to donate, and if they can, because I think that's a really important consideration. Not everybody could at this time, and the real important thing here, the heart of our idea is service and community. So it was crucial for us that we not put up any barriers. The extraordinary thing that happened because of that is that those who could donate, those who could pay what you would normally pay for a ticket, or if they were inspired to pay more, or if they knew exactly that maybe there's just a little less that they could do, that's what people chose to do. And we had a significant portion with all of our attendees to do that. And we also, I think, discovered something else that was really special, and that is people can show value through money,
Mm-hmm.
and they can show value through time.
Absolutely.
And one of the things I'm most proud of in the last year is that we had people who would come to the events, which were mostly on YouTube. They would be with us from the beginning, and they would stay with us to the end, which is extraordinary.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about your viewing habits, but it's very easy just to go away like that. And the fact that we stayed in the 90th percentile of our audience, or every screen that was logged in, they stayed with us the whole time. And so we took that as, as a way of value, of showing value. And we've been sticking to that, and our community has risen to that as an expectation, to know that this has value, and if we can support it, we will.
Kevin, would you like to say something?
Yeah, I would say that Asian Creatives of Greater Austin has taken a similar approach in providing, free workshops and free showcases to the community, just so that people can be aware of these musicians that deserve, more attention. And so we are using the same model where we're building up an email list and having them donate, having them sponsor. We obviously are a newer organization than ACG, so we are currently kind of ramping up, potential fundraising opportunities in the next few months, especially since we plan on doing a lot of in-person events, hopefully, that might be ticketed. So that's how our model for Asian Creatives of Greater Austin. On the for-profit side with Northshore, this is my for-profit business, and I've been able to stay afloat by helping companies that normally have galas and fundraisers and conferences to help them translate into a virtual experience. So I guess that in regards to virtual events, that's how I've been monetizing, and we don't really need to go into that further. It's more about giving back to the community for free.
Wonderful. So before I ask you my next question, would you guys like to mention your YouTube or Facebook channels where people can subscribe to those virtual platforms? Do you guys want to mention the channel names?
Yeah, so if you look up Austin Classical Guitar, we're on Facebook, on YouTube. YouTube is a big thing for us, and there's a lot of really wonderful content that people can interact with at any time that they want at their leisure. And we're also on Instagram, and I think that's probably the big stuff. We, of course, have a website, austinclassicalguitar.org, where you can learn about everything we're doing, what we're up to.
For Asian Creatives of Greater Austin, you can find us on Facebook at ACGA.org. Our website is asiancreatives.org, and you can also find us on YouTube at Asian Creatives of Greater Austin. My company, Northshore Media, is northshoremediaproductions.com as well.
Okay, so a follow-up question on that. What advice would you share with an artist or organization creating work in the streaming medium?
I would say make sure you stream off a device that's not your phone or tablet, if possible.
Sorry.
Um,
That's a nice
there's
one.
there's a free. I'll give a two freebies. OBS, Open
Mhm.
Broadcaster Software, is a wonderful resource. You can add lower thirds. You can stream to multiple platforms. Another freebie is Speedify. In case you have bad internet or Wi-Fi connections, you can redundantly connect your phone, your Wi-Fi, an Ethernet cable. Sometimes I do triple redundant streams for some of my clients. So
Wow.
yeah, just make sure you have good Wi-Fi, redundant Wi-Fi, and use a streaming platform so that you're getting cleaner video and audio signal. Yeah.
I would suggest enlisting an expert like Kevin. That makes your life way better. I think that's a great choice. I also would suggest um, that you embrace what this is. I think we set out in August after I think having done various virtual things and saying, okay, how can we embrace what this medium is and do something that's special, that is different, that it honors what it is, because it's just another medium, just like paint. This is there are things that are extraordinary that we can do through this, and and lean into that. I I think about some of the programs we've done. Like I mentioned Hope, which had 15 artists from around the country. We couldn't have done that in a regular thing. It would have been incredibly expensive to bring,
Hmm.
world-class artists to Austin to play a 1 hour show. Something else, we invited people from all over, young students and teachers to share the art that they've been making during the pandemic. Man, it's been amazing. So inspiring to see what people all over our country are doing. And I guess that goes maybe back to that partnership thing. I think it's just so valuable. You are are I think we are all surrounded by people with extraordinary capabilities, and whether they understand it or not. By asking questions and by building partnerships, we can make something special that that we can't make by ourselves.
True, true, definitely. So, should we move on to the next performance in the video?
Absolutely.
Cool. Thank
Yeah.
you.
So is this is looking, I'm sorry, the space in between. We asked one of our favorite artists, Oliver Rajamani, to build a program with John Ailey, the icon of KUT, about our connections and our just some of the things I was just speaking about, to build a program of spoken word and beautiful music. And so they put their heads together, two geniuses, and came up with a program that they called The Space in Between. And so we'll hear John Ailey and then Oliver Rajamani live in One World Theater. Kevin and I were behind the cameras that night, and doing this whole thing in the very moment that was first originally seen.
All right, and here we are. Once you share. Okay.
This one's by Walt Whitman. Life doesn't give you the people you want. It gives you the people you need to love you, to hate you, to make you, to break you, and to make you the person you were meant to be.
Oh man, it's so hard to stop that. I know. I have to share this story because at the end of that night, Oliver was so excited, and so happy. I know that that was a challenge for him. He's very careful with COVID, and we were all very, very, very careful about all that. But he has family who is, vulnerable, and it took a tremendous amount of courage for him to do that, to play that concert with the team around him. And he said something to me which blows me away, and I think it's so cool. Is that he said he needed that. He needed that because he looked in once all the touring, once all the shows stopped. He was at home for the longest time he's ever been, probably since he was a kid. And he looked into the future and he didn't have something to look forward to. And that is it was like an emptiness in him. And I think we all can appreciate that. I think on a deep level. And those, us doing, we did 21 shows by the end of our spring, which is a big lift. But every single one of them, as hard as they are, gives us something to see in the future and look forward. Sometimes when we lost that for ourselves.
Thank you very much for reading that emotional story. I mean, thank you.
Kevin, I just was thinking about all this behind the scenes photos that,
let's share
that we
some.
got. Do you mind? I can show them and maybe you can talk through them? Would that
Absolutely.
be useful? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I don't think we have pictures of the space in between, but I just want to add to let everyone know that was entirely live, other than John's intro. So we didn't do any recording or editing. So everything that you saw was streamed live, and that's, that intimacy. I think even though, you don't see a crowd, people can certainly respond and on Facebook or on YouTube and comment. And, sometimes the artists have an ability to see that. And that's an interaction that I think is so powerful that people can offer with these virtual events. It was my first time to the One World Theater as well. So it was a unique experience to get to work at an empty venue that I heard, beautiful venue. So
yeah. Here, tell us about this, Kevin. Maybe I'll start here. So we started this at the beginning of the hour.
Yes, so this is KMFA's studio. I think we were one of the first or second concerts that's ever been in the venue since it opened right before the pandemic. So this is a beautiful acoustically, and it sounds like a recording studio. It's called the studio. So acoustically, someone like myself walks in and hears Oliver or hears Tom strum a chord, and I was like, wow, I want to record this. Well, we are filming it, obviously, as you can see. We're using 3 cameras. We had 2 camera operators and a fixed camera, and we're able to get all the close-ups for all of the musicians that want to see what's going on, like myself. When I watched concerts, I was like, I wish that camera operator can go even closer, so I can see how they're playing so fast or so articulately. So these are Blackmagic cameras. I'm a big fan of them, and I use them for all of ACG's streams.
Yeah. You're seeing Tom Eccles, the guitarist and mastermind behind a show called Call and Response. He's there on the left, and then behind or next to him, you see the Invoke string quartet. You got some banjo swapping out for violin, and mandolin swapping out for viola, and so this was a partnership with KMFA called Call and Response, which you can still see live, not live, on our YouTube channel. Okay, let's go to the next one. Here is, this is also just a little extra behind the scenes.
Yep, Eric, Jordan.
And Eric Pearson from ACG are here on the left, who is responsible for our streaming. You see the camera, or the laptop in the middle is capturing OBS, which is the platform on which we broadcast through.
And then Jordan is switching between the 3 cameras with the
Jordan
camera
Walsh.
switcher. Yep. And then we also have a sound engineer as well to the left. So
Andy Stoltz up here.
yeah. Oh yeah, in the reflection.
In the reflection, a lot of people just keep an eye trying to make that happen. Often we spend about 6 to 8 hours of preparation for a 1 hour show on the location. Speaking of which, here's another one. So this is a daytime setup at Laguna Gloria. Our wonderful partners at the Contemporary Austin joined us, and this was a video. We can go probably straight to that video, Kevin.
I was thinking
after
that.
this.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we had the Austin Guitar Quartet performing live, and then woven in, you'll see some of Kevin's beautiful cinematography with Tom Clippinger Center here. We can shift over to that. That was a concert in November of last year that we did partially live. So would you introduce this next one, Kevin?
Absolutely. So this is a song by Tom Clippinger called All in Twilight. And essentially, Joe gave me creative freedom to interpret these songs from more of a cinematography standpoint rather than, a concert or event videographer. So Laguna Gloria was fortunate. We were fortunate enough to be able to utilize the sculptures with the music, and basically weave the sculptures in and out of frame with the musician in the background or foreground. And so we did 4 songs that were produced like music videos, and I was able to get a little bit more creative with my camera work and kind of shifting the focus back and forth between the artwork and Tom in this case. So this is all in Twilight. If you can share pin the main screen. Thank you.
My goodness, Kevin. That is such like a spellbinding thing. I love that. You did such a beautiful job.
Thank you.
I I can't help but point out that that composer of All in Twilight is Toru Takemitsu, a brilliant Japanese composer, and played to that like Afrofuturistic sculpture, like that intersection of culture and like, oh, it just feels so good. It's just so good. I love it. That it's like a poem. It's so beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, I think, you know, having a music background has really kind of shaped the way that I approach filmmaking. And I was never formally trained on filmmaking or just completely self taught. And I feel like maybe that self taught, you know, music background has kind of pushed the way I view things with my ears. You know, so I might hear a guitar lick and I might move the camera like if I was dancing with the camera sometimes. And I feel with that song I was able, you know, it's so slow that, you know, just little nuances in Tom's playing are going to make me want to, you know, select different edits or different movements of the camera. So it was really cool to have that interaction, you know, approach the camera as an instrument, interacting with a real musical instrument. So glad you enjoyed it.
Um, you know, Moin, do we have any other questions coming up for us?
Yes, there was a question. Pretty much there was a question for Kevin, which he also discussed it. But there was this question for Kevin where they're asking, how does your background as a musician inform your video work?
Okay. Yeah, exactly. So Um, I basically edit video like I would edit music from that perspective. What's interesting is when I work on video, I pick the music or audio first. Even when I'm doing documentary work, I use the audio, close my eyes, and I kind of figure out in my brain where different pieces should come in based on what I hear with my ears. Maybe it's just because, you know, that's my first experience as a creator is with music, and so if it doesn't gravitate, if it doesn't move me through audio first, then I'm gonna keep tweaking it until it does fit. So I've been doing a lot more music videos recently, and I think, you know, I've only been a videographer or video editor for probably 3-4 years, but I think, you know, taking this different approach as the camera like an instrument has helped out a lot. You know, just compare and contrast, if you will. But, you know, I draw different inspiration outside of a normal filmmaker. Maybe again, like an instrument. You know.
We have a question for Joe. Let me look at the question. How does your background as a composer shape how you design these projects?
Wow. Well, I think a composer's job is to put things together. You're not necessarily making up the note, you're putting two notes together, and that's really the first step. Um, and I think about incredible potential when you're bringing people together and what that makes that happen. I think that's the through line through all of the work that we've been doing this year. If I think the spirit of the fall was about appreciating beauty in the moment, stopping time and looking at it, that we had a goal, and that was our goal. And this spring has been about nurturing hope and transformation. And there's a lot of ways to get to those places. Um, and I would say that my background in writing music helped me think about how things fit together. And and so if we set our goal and then we have a path, and that might mean, you know, partnering with Kevin often. That might mean, we have an amazing project coming up next week called Flowers of Life.
Right.
With It's a partnership with the Wildflower Center. And so our spring, this idea of hope and nurturing transformation, is kind of a representation of spring itself, and was really came out of a conversation that I had with Andrea DeLong Amaya, who is the master horticulturalist at the Wildflower Center. And so in that case, we're bringing together Andrea and Gabriel Santiago, who's a brilliant composer and guitarist, to make a program about blooming, about wildflowers blooming and our community blooming. So maybe it's reckless abandon of being a composer, of trying to put stuff together that takes you to a place like that, or just the step-by-step of trying to make something like that happen.
Loved your answers. Both of you are like masters of all trades. So we're, as I said earlier, we're privileged to have you. What do we have next? I have another question, but I will leave it for the end. So, yeah.
You know, do we have echo, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna probably play half of it.
Great. Okay.
Yeah.
I can set it up while you're doing this. So echo, if you remember, I mentioned that we've been supporting guitar programs in AISD for a long time, and we had an extraordinary opportunity with former McCallum students who are now artists in their own right, and really super creative people, Claire Puckett, Daniel Aaron Fears, and a new artist who you'll see specifically featured here, Mancho Tote. And they, the three of them, started a project, a collaborative project, which I asked them to begin in August, and said, talk to each other, meet, share what you're thinking about, share what your experience is now. We're in a unique moment. What is happening, and try and express this to each other, and try and create a program about how this feels and what we need. And they made basically an album that they performed live for us on December 6th or 10th, I can't remember. And so you'll see this this was a partnership with the AISD Performing Arts Center. This is in a program called Echo, and this is Mancho Tote, Daniel Aaron Fears, and Claire Puckett. If you could bring, there you go, thank you. Beautiful. Kevin, do you have that shot of the PAC? Oh, there it is. Could you pin that, Moin? Ah, I love this moment.
So I wanted to add this to the viewers' experience. So we set up a camera behind Moin Show. And when he had the guitar, it was so cool. It was almost like an old Woodstock video.
Yeah.
But in this case, it's an empty auditorium theater. So there's some irony in it, but there's also some beauty. You know, they become the space, especially with his dancing, especially with the visuals that we had behind projected. So it was one of my favorite experiences with ACG.
Me too, Kevin.
Okay.
Yeah, that was Mancho Tote, Daniel Aaron Fears, and Claire Puckett playing a project called Echo.
Do we have that other question, Moin?
Yes, let me go ahead and ask that question. Okay. So what are some exciting projects that you have coming up?
We have a concert tonight.
Wow.
We built a remote rig. Actually, Eric Pearson, our technical wizard, built a remote rig that we've mailed around the country. And for this spring, it's been in Brooklyn at a tiny little venue, and we brought artists in that part of the country to go and play. And so we're going to hear a husband and wife duo, a cello and guitarist called Rupert and Laura. They also go by Boyd Meets Girl, and they are just fabulous. And we'll be streaming that live from Brooklyn, 100% live tonight at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. You can find out about that at Austin Classical Guitar. I'll put a link here in the chat. And then I can't help but say it just because I'm excited about next week. Kevin and I will be at the Wildflower Center doing Flowers of Life with Gabriel Santiago and Andrea DeLonga Maya. And then at the end of the month, on May 22nd, we will have our season finale, and Kevin will be with us again, and we'll be back at the PAC with the Texas Guitar Quartet and all sorts of really magical things part of that night. I'll put some links in there.
Yeah, for people who aren't familiar to our website, we have that information, the event that you were talking about, Joe. Yeah, you can go to our website. It's scheduled for today. And if you want to register for that event, you can go to our website and it will redirect you to the other website, the Austin Classical Guitars website. Yeah.
Thank you.
It should be there on our events calendar.
Awesome.
As far as Asian creatives of Greater Austin, we are hoping to put on a songwriting and film scoring workshop in the next month or two. We don't have it on the books quite yet. It's based on the composer's availability, but he is a Taiwanese, Emmy-nominated film score composer with over 100 film credits to his name. Utilizes Asian instruments and Eastern music arrangement into many of his compositions, which are, Hollywood Western movies. So we're excited to have him. We're also wanting to do another workshop on one of my favorite Chinese instruments, which is the guzheng. It's like the harp instrument that's horizontal that is featured in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon when they shoot arrows out of it. So that's one of my favorite instruments. You shouldn't try that at home though, but we're hoping to also be putting on, fingers crossed, a Asian music festival at Waterloo Greenway in May 2022. Wonderful. As part of Asian Pacific American Heritage Month.
So cool.
So,
we'd love to also advertise that on our website. Once we'll get things ready, please let us know. People who follow us on Facebook, we should have that program advertised for you too. I mean, as I said earlier, we are blessed to have such amazing artists in our community. You guys have always been there for us, very approachable, and it was a wonderful program. Like again, for all the viewers, thank you very much for your participation. If you still have some time, if you want to ask um, any direct questions, you're more than welcome to go to their Facebook page, YouTube, and official websites, or you can email us. Is there anything that I need to say at this point? No.
No, just echoing what you said. We're here and available, interested in connecting, and I just deeply want to thank you, Moin, and the GAACC for having us and making a space for us to share some beautiful things.
It's always an honor, but we are so privileged, as I said earlier, to have you on board, and always we look forward to have such programs for artist community based here in Austin and bring different diverse culture and make it more like an inclusive for everyone.
Thank you so much, Moin. This was a
Thank you
wonderful
for your time, guys.
opportunity.
Really appreciate that, and we look forward to have more partnerships with you.
Thank you. Take care,
Take
everybody.
care, guys. Thank you for your time.